Okay, well, I have finished my final for the semester, and it's called Cats and Dogs, and it's a really fun little game that you can play in Python. And it comes with quite a few modules, as you can see. Let me switch my quite a few modules here. The main one is going to be the Cats and Dogs module, and so you'll have to be in this one to actually run the main function. And we have a camera and several constants and functions. We have a main game object. We've got the player object, room loader, all sorts of stuff. It took a minute to do this. I've been basically working nonstop for 2 weeks on this. And I will admit that more recently, especially today, some of the more difficult functions, I did need to get help from ChatGPT. Some of the stuff was even beyond my skill. I just wanted to make sure that it played well and looked good. So, anyway, let me just go over some of the things here. So, the test, if you run this, it will run some of the tests. And basically, what it's testing here is the whether or not the controls work. So if you press, right or left or whatever on the arrow keys, it'll test whether or not it's actually imparting a change. But then there's a few other tests. There's one that's testing whether or not the character actually moves, and then there's another one. This is testing. This was a little bit beyond my skill here, so I had to get some help on this test. It's testing whether or not the rooms are actually loading. And I also didn't know that you could run test functions while you are playing or while you are actually running the software. I thought it had to be in the test module, but turns out you can run them locally as you're just running the game. So anyway, in terms of the rubric where it says, at least two of them need to return two asserts. Well, I've got several asserts here. And then down here, you can change the sprite origin of the player object. And this one is testing if those various origins actually, so if you think about it, you've got your bounding box, right? And so you've got a center origin, upper left, upper right, different areas. This is testing whether or not those actually will work. And fortunately, it does pass that. And this is, we have several different hard-coded areas for the bounding box. So you've got top left, center, so forth. And then this custom one can basically be anywhere that you want. If for whatever reason you wanted a really weird sprite origin, you could do that. So anyway, so that's the game object. It's anything that's instantiated in the game would be an object, so to speak, and then the player inherits from that. And so the player inherits everything from the object class, and it's got a few. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done these class variables here, but whatever, they're there. So you've got different lives and how fast you can move, just different attributes that go to this player object. What else we got here? I don't know how many functions I have, probably 50, and that's a conservative estimate. Oh, the sprite, this one was a pain. I spent most of the time on this sprite class. I was trying to get it as similar to Game Maker Studio as possible. So you basically, the sprite will form a bounding box based on a custom amount that you use. So you can, let me see if I can explain myself well here. It's basically 3 a.m. So cut me some slack here. I had ChatGPT generate these tables of common bounding box widths and heights. And right now we're using, I believe it may not be on the, oh no, here it is, the 3334 It's just a really narrow, kind of a nice bounding box. So like the sprites that I got weren't the best sprites. They were honestly too big, and the character was actually offset from the center. It was not the best sprite, but hey, they were free. So what this 3334 does is it makes a really narrow bounding box, and you'll see that in a second. What else here? As you're going through this, if you do pay attention to the notes, ChatGPT advised, ChatGPT, suggested, you'll see stuff like that. But for the most part, I wrote this, except for the more recent ones like Today, the camera, and also some of the background, like you'll notice the backgrounds scroll. That was a little bit beyond my skill set. So I was really lucky that I was able to have that advice from ChatGPT to help with some of these. But again, I wasn't just letting it code the whole thing. I wrote it, but some of the more difficult stuff I did need to get some help on. Look at this. The room.draw. I mean, this is insane. This would have taken a couple of days to write. So I'm glad that I had that resource just as a teaching tool and as an aid. So let's check the game out here. So you'll see it's so you can run and jump, and that green, that's the bounding box, and you can turn it off by pressing F3, and then F4 turns off the sprite origin, and then you can press F2 to change to the dog. And there are a few bugs with the tile collisions. It's kind of as good as I could get, in a limited amount of time. A little bit clunky, but not too bad for Pygame, which is not the best. But lots of fun. And if you hold down Shift and then the WASD keys, so W and D will make it get big. It's a little bit too big. Wow, it's clipping all over the place. That was cool. Hold down Shift to make it run. The spacebar makes it jump. And the cat can jump higher than the dog, but the dog has more hit points. But due to lack of time, I wasn't able to program an enemy object. And one thing that's really nice, you'll notice the backgrounds are parallaxing. That's another thing I needed help with. That would have been hard to figure out on my own. So kind of cool. Lots of fun. Anyway, so play with it. Let me know what you think. And also, if you could get back to me as soon as possible, that'd be great. The files, really quick, if I can pull up the files here. Okay, so the files are going to be in sort of like this. You'll have all your main modules. The tile project, you can ignore this. This is for a program called Tiled, which is what I used to basically set up how the level was going to look. And this actually outputs CSVs for each of these tile layers here. And so what it's doing is it's taking the CSV of like each of these squares here is like basically a tile position. And so these are like -1 or 0. They correspond to, where is it? They correspond to this. So this is 0, 1, 2, to 15, and then, and so if the player object encounters -1 or 0, it's not considered a collision. But if it encounters any of these, it is considered a collision. And you only saw a few of these. Oh, and also the angled, the slopes are not implemented yet. I didn't have time, but under normal circumstances, you basically have it so that you're going up and down a slope, but didn't quite get there but oh well. Um, so yeah, I mean, in the environments, you can see the tile maps. So these are going to be your CSVs, and like they roughly correspond to that image. I wonder if I could make it the same. I don't think it'll, yeah, I don't think it'll wrap that way, but oh yeah, you can see that. I mean, that looks similar to those. It's just decorative stuff, but this is the main. If you encounter the foreground CSV, these are the ones you actually collide with. These ones are just decorations. So, didn't want to minimize that. I've got some sounds that play, music, the various backgrounds. I had ChatGPT generate these images for me. They turned out okay. I mean, that's not bad for an AI background, you know. What else? Oh yeah, the sprites. So these sprites were free, and the problem is these sprites are actually off center. So, and it took a long time because the way that it was sorting, it was bringing these in, and it was doing 1, 10, 2, 3, 4. It was really annoying. So I had to figure out a way to sort that. I wanted to like implement getting hurt and attacking, but again, lack of time. What else? I think that's about it. Oh, this is the tile set itself. So yeah, you're welcome to look through this. Oh, one thing, the Pygame, you need to install Pygame for this to work. So make sure that you do the pip install Pygame down in your console. Otherwise, I don't think it will work. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions. I may have time to revise this tomorrow. I probably will not have time to revise this on Wednesday if you encounter any issues. So please let me know ASAP if anything happens, okay? All right, well, thank you and have a great day.